So yeah, so this one will be a continuation of that. So last time, maybe just do a very quick recap. I added a new button to the UI, right? So that's this little button here. I'm gonna expand this UI object from the hierarchy. And this is the thing we added, I'll delete all buttons. So basically what happened was we have this delete button, right? This delete button right here. And we made a copy of it and we just add a text to it, that's all. Right, and all this button does, if you run this will put up in the emulator. Let's say you select one, you can press this delete button. What if you want to delete like everything? That's where this delete all button comes from. Press that and removes all the items. Is how to add new objects, basically, that can be placed. So I would want, so you guys take this, take something away from me discussing this, not only like how exactly to do this, but how to find, when you're given this template, right, how to find places to modify. So you can add this desired behavior. Okay. All right, so what we're gonna do is basically, yeah, this is from last semester's homework, and the object will place or fish. Okay, so we're basically gonna go over how to add a new button, and that's gonna be letting us to place a different kind of object than the ones that's already there. Okay, so first off, welcome to the template. Almost always anything UI related will be under this UI thing that Unity just calls it by default. And if you come down here, and you need to figure out where is that object menu, right? Where is that menu that pops up for you to select all the object that can possibly be placed. So one thing that you immediately notice is that menu is basically you cannot see it. It's hidden somewhere. So that is, oh my God, this is so, okay. So, and that menu only shows up when you click this button. And this is where the emulator comes in handy. So it actually shows you every object in your scene. So let's just say, so the grayed out stuff are disabled, they're not visible, and their scripts are not running. So let's just see where, if we click this button, this should bring up the object menu, right? But is there any object here that suddenly becomes enabled? So if I click that, so, okay, so nothing going on here, but I do see there's something called object menu animator. So this can be hard when there are so many depth of hierarchy, but this one looks suspicious. So I'm just going to expand that. And then indeed, there's an object menu here, and it is enabled now. So if I click cancel, so that thing is still enabled. But if I exit out of play mode, it somehow becomes disabled. So that looks like to be the thing that holds all the objects. So now outside of play mode, I'm just going to click this enable button here. And voila, that's your object menu. So now you know where to add your new, basically new button to add new objects. All right, and exactly how to do that. So let's expand its hierarchy, and we'll say cancel button, which is not there. And then we have a scroll view, which is basically that viewport you saw that has object that can possibly be placed. If we expand that, right? So yeah, so those are all the objects that are offered. So what we're gonna do here, very simply, is we're gonna basically make a copy of one of the buttons. Okay, rename it be my object, right? So, and if you just take a look through all the objects, you'll see what really changes is their X position. So that could very likely be their position in the scroll view. And you'll also see each one of them looks like go by the increment of 175. So now if we add a new object, that will most likely need to be increased by 175. Okay, and we cannot change this for some reason. Oh, some values are driven by the horizontal layout group. Okay, so there's a layout group. That's why you cannot modify the values. And apparently it has already change the X position based on this being a horizontal layout. So this thing you shouldn't need to change its position anymore. It should be already at, not overlapping with the cylinder object you copied from. Should be where it should be, like after the cube debug. Okay, let's just take a look, and if it's, oh, see this object menu is already here. We don't want that. Let's disable the object menu. Go back to how it was before. Okay, all right, here we are in the emulator. Continue and comment down here. Oh, shit, how do you? Okay. All right, so that's the second cylinder. So that's the button that we just added. So that's good to have that. There's an object icon right here. So so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna change the object icon, and we're gonna ask it to place a different object, that cylinder. So as of right now, it should still place a cylinder because every script attached to this new button we added should still be that cylinder thing. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna create a new 3D object. We're not gonna be placing fish today. Or actually, let's do something fun. Actually, let's go to package manager and use one of the packages that you guys will actually be using. All right, there's so many crap in here. Where is that monster dual pack? Yes, so this is asset, one of the assets that you guys will be using. Yeah.
Oh, just to confirm, like, is this session being recorded so we can be watching?
It is recorded. Yeah. Right, so you click on import, and this thing will show up, and we'll just click import. Looks like to be a pretty small package, so I finish it in a sec. All right, so now, right, so now you have this package imported. So a thing with Unity package is everybody creates package in different ways, but there are some standardization. So first off, in scenes, for every Unity package that you come across, there should always be a scene thing or anything that are similar to this. If you go in here, so this should be the demo scenes that you can just open up and check like what's in there. Let's save this. And it looks like we have the monsters. Okay, and this is something that you guys might run into. So everything is pink. Why is that? Exactly. So there's a shader error. Why is this happening? This is because Unity throughout the years have gone through many updates to its rendering pipeline. So the oldest pipeline is called the standard rendering pipeline, and that's what this package is on. And how do you know? You can very easily find this out. Let's just click on one of the monsters. This is slime, and go to its hierarchy, and find out. Okay, this PBR default is its material. Basically, tell it how it should appear. So its shader is standard, which is not the same rendering pipeline as our project. So the AR mobile template, the default rendering pipeline that comes with it is something called universal rendering pipeline, or URP. There's also a thing called HDRP, high definition rendering pipeline, which basically makes Unity more like Unreal, but you probably don't want to use that for any project in this class. Okay, so the way to fix this is actually pretty straightforward. You can fix it right here in this scene, or you can just go through this package that's imported, and there should be a thing called materials. Okay, you come here, select all the materials it has. Actually, let's take a look here. So these two are standard. This one is specular setup. Okay, so we will select this two. And instead of using the standard shader, we're going to use a URP shader. You most likely will need to do this in your project as well. And the way to do it is select universal render pipeline. And this one should be lit. Okay, and now our monsters has come back online. Okay, so and immediately you'll notice a thing that, oh, the monster is all white. Where's the texture actually that's on the monster? So this is because Unity doesn't use the same name for the texture map between the standard rendering pipeline and the URP. So when you change the shader, the texture actually doesn't get carried over. So the way to fix this, and I will tell you if this is a new asset, how do you find this out? So normally you can go compare to see textures, and there's all the textures, but you're gonna ask, oh, but which texture corresponds to which monster? It's very easy to find out. Just come here to the material and click. So in albedo. So this is the texture in the standard rendering pipeline. In universal rendering pipeline, this is called base map, which you'll see in a second. And if you click on that, it will take you here. So what we're gonna do here is change it to universal rendering pipeline, lit. Okay, now you'll see the options has changed. So now for base map, we're gonna drag that up here. And our monster now has regained color. All right, and this should be enough for most of our purposes. I'm not going to fix the floor because we're not gonna use it anyways. Okay, so coming back to our sample scene. Oh, and by the way, the thing that you just changed, because you changed the settings in the file explorer, like right here, instead of in the scene, this will be reflected like universally across your project. You don't need to save it. Okay, yeah, and if you put stuff in the scene, that's just an instance of that object. Okay, all right, and now coming back to our sample scene, coming back to our UI. So we'll go back. So we're gonna make this button to add that monster. But first of all, maybe we'll need just a screenshot of that monster so we can put on button. Don't like the pink floor, so I'm gonna get rid of that. Move to the front. All right, I'm just gonna add this pink slime here. So take a screenshot. Okay, all right, now let's go back to our scene. Save this. Coming back to our UI and go all the way into the object menu. We're just gonna make it visible here. Scroll view. And just to make our debugging a little bit easier, I'm gonna put that my object to the first. So that's that thing right there. And I'm gonna rotate this. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, cool. First, we need to replace that image on there. So how do you go about doing that? So if you go to the object icon, so that sounds like where the image will be, and indeed it has an object. It has a component called image. So let's just scroll to it. Alrighty, and it points to this source image in the sprite. So sprites typically refers to any kind of static or animated image in Unity. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our screenshot that we just took. All right, we're just gonna put this in here. Okay, that's our screenshot, and coming back here, in the object icon, we can just replace that cylinder with our. Oh, and something you'll notice, in fact, you actually can't put this image directly, drag it under that thing. Why? Because this is not a sprite yet. So the way to fix this is in here, texture type, you need to change this to a sprite, to your UI. And once you've done that, I'll save it. Once you've done that, you can just boop, pop this in here, and that's your monster button. Now, what's next? Next, you need to actually change what object is being placed. Right now, you will still place that cylinder, so we haven't changed any of that. And to change the button behavior, so come down to the actual button itself. It has this button component, and here is its on-click thing. Okay, let's take a look here. So it calls a function. So when this button is clicked, it calls a function in this script called AR template menu manager. So we're just gonna search for that script. AR template. Anyway, let's click it. Okay. Wow, the resolution is kind of crazy now. But it looks things more visible, so that's a plus. I'm just gonna make it slightly smaller, otherwise we cannot see anything. Is it still visible to everybody? Okay, cool. All right. Okay, coming back here, let's see what function it actually calls. So the function it calls is a set object something, set object to spawn. Okay, and also have a 5 being its value here. So let's first find out that function. Set object to spawn. Okay. All right, cool. So that's a function, and that 5 is going to be the argument that you pass in here. So obviously it says, okay, spawn the 5th object. But what's the 5th object? So there's an object spawner. It has the object prefabs. So everybody here knows what prefabs is, right? For Unity. Okay, good. All right, so it seems to be spawning the 5th object in the object spawner. So what we're gonna do here, let's see, spawner, set object place. Okay, cool. So let's now go to object spawner, and let's see, it should have a thing called, yes, here it is. I'm object prefabs. It's empty list, but it's definitely not empty when you go into the actual scene. So let's find that object spawner here. So object spawner, search for it. Okay, object spawner. All right, here we go. All right, within that object spawner, okay, here you go. That's the object prefabs, and obviously it has all these objects to be spawned. So what we're gonna do here is just click add, so that will add a new thing to the list, and go to that RPG monster that we found under prefabs. This is our slime. So we're gonna go to the object spawner again and just drag that slime into the element 7. Okay, it's going to be element 7, and now coming back to our button here. So instead of having this pass in 5, we'll pass in 7. Okay, save that, and let's see if it works. All right, let's see if our slime works. Oh, our object menu still show up here because we didn't disable the object menu. It's fine. We're gonna just keep it here. We can still debug this. So that's our surface. See if our slime. There we go. Here we go. That's our slime. You can, however, if you want to change the scale, you can do this programmatically, but you can also very easily do it here with the prefab. Now the default scale is 1. I think I'm gonna go for 0.15. It's probably better. So yeah, and because we're changing here in the prefab, so anytime you spawn an instance of that, we will inherit all the properties of the prefab that we just modified. Okay, so continue. There's a slime. Oh, okay, that looks much better. Alrighty. Okay, that's the first part, how to add a new button to place new objects.